All right, here we go.
It's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Bumping through your broadcast. Grab a chair, fill your glass. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Bumping through your broadcast. Grab a chair, fill your glass.
Welcome everybody to the Really Charlie Podcast. Today's guest is Anthony AJ Joyner. This man is definitely very impressive, and you're going to see why. He's an entrepreneur, author, radio personality, and the founder of Blooksy, Blooksy.com, software platform that is used with artificial intelligence to make writers or simply make writers better, and also researchers. I also want to mention a few things. He's a diehard Saints fan, New Orleans Saints fan, which I love already. I'm a football fan. Being from New England, I like the Patriots, but I love football 100%. There's nothing better. That's my one sport that I can watch every single day. So when it comes on Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Sunday night, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So I see you're native of Leesville, Louisiana. I have some family down there in LaPlace, Louisiana.
Oh, got it. La Paz. So you have some blood in the bayou.
yeah. They definitely. My cousin, my kin ventured down there, built his family down there, and I can't wait to get down there for all the reasons you talk about: football, good food. I just can't wait to get down there. So
absolutely, man.
Just got to make time. And I also want to mention something on your resume is the number one HBCU, Southern University. I can't let that go. I got to definitely bring that out only because much respect for you and that institution because I love it.
Yeah, man. I had a great time in college, man. It was coming from a small town. It was my first introduction to what I thought was a big city, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Yeah. Had a great time at Southern.
Yeah, it's I'm just glad I got that paper. There was one I can't think of his name, famous Asian chef. He was keynote speaker at my graduation. I was getting my degree.
Okay.
And the one thing he said is once you get a degree, no one can take it away from you. It's forever, and it's so true. There's nothing, no one can take it away from you. They can take your job, take anything else, that's other than your blood, but they can never take that degree from you once you earned it. And so with me, I use it as much as I can, on my resumes, and it's definitely was a fine experience for me.
Yeah, and I would even take that a step further and say any kind of skill that you learn, when all else fails, if you have a skill that people will pay you for, again, education is one of them. But if you have a skill, you can always figure out how to make money. If you have a skill that will help people, you can always figure out a way to make money. So it's the degree, absolutely, the education, and we got to throw skills in there too.
So true. The artistic people have creative people have such a dearness to my heart, and I'm so glad that I do write. When I'm writing my poetry, I'm in another zone. It gets me relaxed, keeps me at peace, and so and the things you're doing is definitely everything that you're offering to the world is definitely something that I need to kind of dig into. I can use. They're going to be a huge resource for me, and I'm glad that someone like George Weinstein has definitely introduced me to you and got us together because and that's what my podcast is about. It's just to bring people together that
Absolutely.
that at no shape or form they probably would have never met each other at all. If I had visited my family in Atlanta, I might have passed right by you and didn't see you, or going down to Louisiana, see you with your kin folks and just walk right by you. But this podcast brings us together.
Absolutely, man. And thank you for doing this, man. The world needs, conversations,
Hmm.
and just dialogue about all the things that are out there, that can be both helpful, informative, and I think you're doing a great job of creating a platform that shares the story of other people. So I'm really grateful to be here, and I'm grateful for you for putting this together.
Thank you very much. Your time's valuable, and I'm glad to have you here because there's a lot of there's some writers and inspiring authors that does follow this podcast. So everything that you're offering is going to be a plus to them. Especially when it comes to like self publishing. Most of the time, people are doing it on their own. They're just kind of going on their own trial and error. It's similar to when I bought my first PC. I took it out of the box, plugged it in, didn't know what I was doing, and when I was finally done with it, I started at daylight. When I was finally done messing around, my wife comes down the stairs and she says, "Hey, you got to go to work." I didn't realize I was downstairs the whole night playing around with this PC, you know, but it is what it is. So tell me about Blooksy.com.
Okay, so I guess I'll go back to sort of how it started. So, um, well, let's see, a couple years ago, I wrote my first book, and it just so happened I launched that book around the time that it was called Instagram Marketing on Fire, and I
Hmm.
launched that book right around the time that Facebook purchased Instagram. Um, Total coincidence, and all of a sudden, the book was flying off the shelves. Well, we'll call Amazon the shelf. It was flying off of Amazon. So I very quickly wrote two more books. Second one was Instagram marketing for restaurants. Third one was Instagram marketing for beauty shops and barber salons. So I started to go into these niche markets, and I documented the process of writing the books. Right, because the
Hmm.
one thing that a lot of people don't know is that, well, I'm sure people understand it, but you can hire writers to write your words for you. People say, well, I'm not a great writer. Well, can you organize your thoughts and then give them to somebody to write them for you? So I found a young lady who was she was in Jamaica,
Hmm.
and she was writing my books for $300.
Wow.
Yeah. And she was happy to do it. She was great. So I organized the thought that what I wanted in the books for my second and third one, and she would write it. So I was able to turn them around in 30 days. Right.
Very
Uh,
nice.
so then I wrote a book called Stop BSing and Write Your Book. And it was a
Mhm.
step-by-step guide to how you can write your book in 30 days or less. And it
Wow.
literally taught the whole process. Organize your thoughts, hire a ghostwriter. If there are any articles or anything you want to reference, provide the reference material. Here's where you go to find a book cover designer. Here's where you go find an editor. Here's where you go and get the interior layout done. And here's the step-by-step process to upload it to Amazon, right? So
Wow.
that sort of led to me helping a lot of people start the process of writing their books. So I sold a lot of those books, and now I actually give it away for free. So if anybody wants a copy of that book, You just go to ajsfreebook.com and
Okay.
you put your address in there. You just cover shipping and it'll come to your door. So $24.99, you'll get it for free if you're interested in writing a book. Anyway, so I'm on a radio show called the WIllie Moore Jr. show, and we're in 29 markets across the U.S. So I started going to the different markets, and I was doing 1, 2, or 3 day book writing workshops. And I'll fast forward because for the sake of time, but pandemic happened, and of course I couldn't travel as much as I was. So I took all the people that I was working with, and I put them into a Facebook group. And I actually started an official publishing company. And to date, we've published over 250 people. But Charlie, I hated it from day one. I hated managing people. I hated hiring, because now I had to have a staff of editors, a staff of cover designers, a staff of interior layout people. We were in the middle of COVID. The authors would get COVID. My editors would get COVID. My cover designers were getting COVID, and people were just dropping like flies, and they would be gone for 3 weeks at a time or a month at a time. And then I got COVID a couple times. So it was like this whirlwind of just chaos, right? So one night after a particularly bad day, I asked myself, why isn't there software to manage this process, right? So, I spent, just to go give a little backstory to me, I spent the better part of 20 years building software. It was like the Centers for Disease Control here in Atlanta, Delta Airlines, the Georgia Department of Transportation, healthcare, real estate. I've built a lot of software platforms. So I just mapped it out on my wall one night. What does it look like? And then I asked myself a very pivotal question. And looking back, that was probably the best question that I asked myself. And it was, if I build this software, what are the other edge cases that I can use the same software for? So then I just started brainstorming. Oh, people write dissertations, because a dissertation and a book is essentially the same thing. You just don't have a cover for a dissertation, right? And you don't sell it. Then I thought, well, what about grants? And then I thought, what about cookbooks? Because the cookbook is a book, right? But it's just full of pictures and recipes. So I said, okay, what about poetry books? Then so I said, why don't I just build templates for each type of book? So if you log in with Blooksy, you'll see nonfiction template. You'll see a template for fiction. You'll see a template for poetry. You'll see a template for academic articles, because academic articles, you can actually do the article, the dissertation, and the literature review all in the same template, right? So now we have universities that are using the academic articles and the dissertations, and then we have authors that are doing the poetry, the fiction, and the nonfiction. So I built the platform in a way that scales so that it could handle all those different use cases. And right now, I've thought through the process of how could we make it easier. So Charlie, if you're writing a book, you know the story that you want to tell, right? Well, when I did my workshops and books across America, I would have people outline their stories, and then I would have them put them in a PowerPoint. So slide 1 would be a story number 1. Slide 2 would be story number 2. And each slide gets 3 to 4 bullet points that represents the story that belongs on that particular slide.
Okay.
And I would have my authors go through the slide and tell me the story of that slide. And they would tell me that story, and I would record them talking the story out. I would send it to a transcription company, get the transcript back, and that would become chapter 1. And then we would rinse and repeat through the whole book. So I built my software with the same process. So you click and you add a chapter. You add chapter 1, you can outline your chapter. Then there's a transcription engine built in. It transcribes real time. You click on record, you tell your story, it will transcribe it right into the software. Right.
Very nice.
Well, then I said, okay, well, what are some of the other things that writers struggle with? Writer's block is real big.
Yes, it is.
My background is technology. So I did a deep dive into artificial intelligence and language modeling. And so I built in artificial intelligence into the platform so that if you provide just a few keywords and maybe if you ask an open-ended question, or if you put in a paragraph of content, it will go out. The artificial intelligence is called Avon. And I'll tell you a story about that in a second, but it will go out and it will create original content for you based on your topic. That's
Very,
really, really helpful for people writing nonfiction books, sort of how-to books, and it'll even write poetry for you.
wow.
So if you give it a topic and a few lines, it will create poetry based on what you give it. That artificial intelligence is named Aven, Aven. I named it after my grandmother because I was raised by my grandmother, whose name is Neva, Neva.
Wow.
And my grandmother's an amazing storyteller, and she would tell us the most hilarious stories every year at our family reunion. So that was kind of my, my nod to my grandmother, and
Mm-hmm.
wait till we can get back, next summer and have our family reunion again. But yeah, so I wanted to just make it really easy for authors to take the thoughts that are in their head, get them into a book, right?
Wow.
Now let's share where we're going in the future with this.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, authors will be able to not only write their book, but we're going to connect through API directly to shipping and printing on demand. So,
Wow.
and you will be able to build your own landing page right there in Blooksy.
Very
So
nice.
again, it'll be drag and drop, just like a Squarespace site. You put your cover on there, your picture, write a little synopsis of your book, maybe add a couple testimonials. People will be able to click and buy, and it'll ship directly to their house. Now that's coming in the future,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Because we have pivoted into universities because universities absolutely love it. The artificial intelligence helps them cut their research time up to 7 times faster. So, for example, they will write academic articles and they respond to proposals for the school. Typically, it will take them 8 to 10 weeks to do that. Using the artificial intelligence, they were able to write it in 10 days.
Wow. That's
So
awesome.
they are chomping at the bit. So if you have an idea, and I'll just share a few other things. So I'm doing a training right now with the city of Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was able to use my artificial intelligence to give my AI the topics that my training is about. The AI wrote out the training for me because
Wow.
it's content, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, there's so many different. If you want to write a blog, you can use that to write the blog. White papers, we have government entities writing white papers. So many different ways you can use that artificial intelligence. And the layout is so simple. When you get inside, it's so self-explanatory. You add chapters. It already has your copyright built in. The margins are already built in, so you don't have to worry about formatting. We have the font pairings are already built in and together, so you don't have to worry about, design of the interior. So we just put a lot of thought into how could we provide an experience to help people very quickly go from here to the first draft of their manuscript.
Wow. That's awesome. I man, I have so many stories. I have so
Yes.
many. I mean, the poetry books is in the thousands easily with different poems that I have. But
Mm-hmm.
I also have so many different stories about my community that I've been trying to get out there, want to get out there,
Yeah.
and especially our local boys club, the boys and girls club. That's a story in itself, and I've been trying to get people, folks together to just give me the interview so I can go ahead and get this done. But
Yes.
with your process, man, that is so much easier. There's so much I can get done just by getting onto Blooksy and just doing my thing, because I get slowed down by other folks, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Well, yeah, I mean, it just feels like you're a go-getter, right? We met last week. We're already on air, right? You don't waste any time. So again, it's people like you that are sort of the drivers, right?
okay.
So, with you having guests on all the time, I'm sure you meet so many intriguing people.
Yes.
And I've worked with a group called More Mentorship, and just last night, we talked to 70 boys between the ages of 12 and 18. So what we're doing with their mentorship is we're getting stories from each one of those boys, and we're going to write an anthology, right? So all the boys will become authors. They're going to share their story in one chapter, and then
Wow.
all the chapters are going to be put together. They're going to share the story of what they've experienced as a boy between 12 and 18. They're going to talk about the lesson that they learned from that. We're going to send out releases so that the proceeds go to the nonprofit, but all the boys will put author by their name.
I love it. I love it.
So,
Man,
when we just built it in a way, and we have actually quite a few people that are doing that, right? So we have a lady in Baton Rouge. She has a group of women who have all been through a divorce. So they're all sharing stories that they wish they knew before they got married, right?
wow,
So I think it's 16 different ladies, and each one gets a chapter,
very nice.
right? So yeah, the beautiful thing, there's real-time collaboration, right? So, if you were to create an account, Charlie, you wanted all the people on as your guests to log in, they don't have to pay. You pay one time, and you can have as many collaborators as you want,
Wow,
right?
very
Well,
nice.
and that's not going to last forever now.
Yeah,
But again, right now we're in growth mode, right?
yeah.
So, my goal is to help as many people as possible. And through those stories and those testimonials, more and more people will be attracted to the platform.
Uh, I was attracted to it as soon as I signed up and just started going through everything, because everything that I clicked on, I said that would have made my job a whole lot easier writing. You
Simple,
know,
right?
yeah. I'm like, wow, and I there's no stress in worrying about a deadline if
Yeah.
you sign up. There's no stress at all, and I uh I read a lot of the different reviews. There was something I noticed today. Excuse me one second. It That Kickstart.
Yeah.
C- Can you talk about that? Or I want to make sure that you mention everything that you wanted to, but I just keep it. I wanted to talk about Kickstart because that's very interesting. So if you want to explain that to me or to the viewers, actually.
So I went through well, a couple of different things. So I'll start with, first, I won a pitch competition back in August of 2021 through Panoramic VC. It's a venture capital firm. So there are a couple hundred startups that got a chance to pitch their idea for $120,000, and I ended up winning first place in that. That was
Wow.
very helpful because I've spent a lot of my own money to get this off the ground, right?
Hmm.
I want to talk about that because for people who are out there and you have ideas, you can do that. But I also want to share the Chapter Creator Kickstart. So this is for authors who want to write and publish their books, right? If you go to chaptercreator.com, sign up there. Every Wednesday night, I kickstart people with their books. Every Wednesday night. I've written, I think I'm up to 6 or 7 books or something like that. Now, I didn't, when I say wrote, it doesn't mean I wrote all the words. I hire ghostwriters here and there because, right,
Yeah.
you can sign releases and get your books. And let me just say this about ghostwriting, because there's this misconception that you have to write things. Let me tell you something. I've been on ghostwriting teams for several people, and these are people that are well known. And if you think Joel Osteen and T.D. Jakes and Steve Harvey, if you think they're sitting down writing all these books, then you better think another thing, right?
Exactly.
They give the high level ideas and the people write the words, right?
Hmm.
So that's an opportunity, but I can show you where to go find those ghostwriters and how to do it in a way to where the ghostwriters are actually worth their salt, right?
Hmm.
Again, it's really about just organizing your thoughts. And I built the platform, Charlie, in a way that does the organization for you, right?
Nice.
So again, the story that you're going to tell. All you have to do, if you're doing a how-to book and it's a process, like Charlie, if you did a book on how to start your own podcast, right?
Hmm.
There are steps to that. So you just literally just think, what are the high level steps? And you just add each one of those as chapters. Then you just go back and you backfill all the content in each chapter, right?
Very nice.
It gets really simple once you have a process around it. The big problem that people have is they sit down and they try to write the book, and you don't write the book. What you want to do is you want to write an outline,
Hmm.
right?
Okay.
Then after you write your outline, then you outline the actual chapter. Like, what story am I going to tell? What was the result of the story? Who were the people in the story? What was the lesson learned? What is the process, right? You do that for your first chapter. Then you do that for your second chapter. So you do a big outline, then you do each chapter as a separate outline. Then you come back and you try to just tell the story into the transcription, because
Right.
we talk between 175 to 225 words a minute. So you talk for 5 minutes, you got 1,000 words right there, right?
Wow.
So you do that for each one of your chapters, but just do them one at a time. Do one today, one tomorrow, one the next day, right? And it'll take 10 to 15 minutes a day. Then what you want to do is you go back and you sort of fill it in. Now you go in and you add the minutia, the detail,
Mm-hmm.
to the nitty gritty. Then you just bring in an editor. And just like that, you'll have your first draft done in no time,
Very
right?
nice.
So that's why I created chaptercreator.com, so that I can help people get their stories out of their head and kickstart their books every Wednesday night.
That is nice. There's actually a friend of mine, that's several friends of mine that are listening, and but one man is Michael, and he's doing a book, a memoir, and
Mhm.
this guy got so much. He has so many stories,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's I can't wait. I'm anticipating the book,
Mm-hmm.
but I think what he's doing is he's not satisfied, and he wants
Mm-hmm.
to add and this and that, and so this I know he's listening because he's might as well say he's one of the best fans I have, and
I love it.
so Michael, if you're out there, I hope you got all this information from AJ, and definitely get, because his book is definitely going to be a bestseller in my eyes,
Wow.
in my opinion. So I just hope he's just got to get it out there, and but you know so uh AJ, I have I wrote a few children's books that are on the
Cool.
shelf and waiting, and so they're pretty short. They're not lengthy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is that a problem on the length of the book or anything like that? It's
So as it relates to children's books, there is a minimum page count that you have to have.
mhm.
But typically a 600 words is enough for a children's book,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
Well, let me say this again: an illustrated children's book, right? So
Yes.
it's a chapter, definitely not for like a chapter book, but an
Hmm.
illustration. 600 words is about enough, right? But do you have an illustrator, or is it already illustrated, or where are you in the process?
Um, Mainly, a lot of my illustrators are my childhood friends that are artists.
Oh, that's
So
great.
I always try to add someone from my area, my community, into the book. I want them to do something. It just makes it, to me, it just makes it more powerful when you start grabbing maybe uh, an artist that I mentored,
Okay.
or an artist that I actually grew up with. And they have painting. They're just like me, They're just trying to get their creativity out there.
Yes.
So why not use their creativity and put it on my book cover, or put it
You
within my book?
you absolutely should. It gives you a chance to give them exposure to the world that they otherwise wouldn't have, and then at the same time, they can assist you by giving imagery to the words that you've written. So
Yes.
it's a win-win, right?
Yes. Yes. Hey, see, there's my buddy Mike. He's already registered.
That's
Uh,
cool. That's cool.
yeah.
And Mike, if you're, I'm having one tonight at 8 o'clock. So if you want to hang out tonight, we can kickstart your book tonight.
Nice. Nice. See, that's what the Really Charlie podcast is about. Um, and I'm definitely gonna latch on and hook on to your radio show. I really want to listen to that. I don't watch TV anymore or listen to the radio, other than my own, the radio station that we're on. I listen to that music, but I'm into podcasting and
Yeah.
grabbing that's because it's so organic. I've learned so much from a podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and many podcasts that I didn't learn in school, and it's
Yes.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm so glad that this generation, or we as people of the world, have this in right in our hands, because things that we didn't learn, like the 1619 Project. You know, I never heard of that in my life. I didn't know anything about that, anything whatsoever. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a very, very I get a daily dose of the Joe Rogan experience. I
Yeah.
like listening to him and his guests. And it just goes on and on, along with sports and you know, it's just something. There's something um, about podcasting that really, really is a teacher. I'm listening and learning every single day. So I'm
Yeah.
definitely good.
And it's an opportunity to, it's number one, it's portable, right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm on a podcast. I listen to Joe Rogan. I've listened to the 1619 Project. I actually have the audiobook for that. But
Nice.
you're learning while you're doing other things, right?
Sure.
And you're actually getting to know the people, right? And people have different life experiences. You can actually learn a lot just by someone's lived experience,
Yes.
right? And that's one of the things that I talk about with the book. You know, I have a couple books back here behind me, but you know, where can I? Oh, that was perfect. Where can I go? Where can I spend $17 and get someone's entire life story?
Nice. Yep.
Right. So for $17, I can go get someone's entire life story and spend a day or two reading it and totally change my perspective, or at least introduce a different perspective that I had no idea about just for a couple bucks, under $20, right?
Yeah.
And again, there's so much knowledge in those pages that, you know, I love reading, but I absolutely love the audiobooks and the podcast because you take it with you, right?
Yes.
And if there's something that I need to write down, I make sure, you know, I can write it down, or I'll even leave myself a voice note to go, oh, they mentioned this book, why don't you go read that, or you know, whatever. And I'll just email the voice note to myself as a reminder. But absolutely, podcasts, audiobooks, I love them.
Yes. It's man. I actually can't wait to listen to you on the radio and definitely check you out. And
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
yeah, it's definitely and what I'll do is I'm gonna constantly share almost everything that you're involved in on my
Appreciate it.
Facebook page, and I'm gonna constantly put it out there.
Thank
Only
you.
because there's so many people that my friends, my family, they have so many amazing stories. And you're the dude, you're the man, you're the brainstorm behind this that can really help them. And
Yeah, man. And I love it. Like the funny thing is, I have never really done things for the money.
mhm,
I always do things because this is something that I enjoy, and I think that it's going to make life easier either for me or for someone else, right? And if I can continue to create things that will help other people over and over again, it does, whether it's Blooksy or whether it's, you know, mentorship or whether it's help someone else build a platform, as long as I can do that to help other people, then I'm all for it, right? So Blooksy was made because I was frustrated about managing the process of the book thing and whatever. So I was like, why
mhm.
don't I just build software and people can sign up for the software and they never have to know I exist?
Now, which come with the creativity in Blooksy. I mean, it's got book, it's got look in it. What was you thinking when you came up with that name? What was the brainstorm behind
You
that?
know, I wish I had a story about that.
Uh-huh.
It was a portmanteau or that there was rhyme or reason. But honestly, I wanted booksy.com, and that was already gone. It's a booking app, right?
Yep.
For booking hair appointments. So I had a group chat with a bunch of my really kind of smart friends, and we had all kinds of names, Charlie. We had Book
Mhm.
Dojo, we had Book Beaver, we had Book Llama, we had um, Scribbler. We
Uh-huh.
had all kinds of names. And then finally someone said, well, just do Blooksy. And I didn't love it, I'll be honest, right?
Uh-huh.
But they said, well, what's a Fandango? And I said, huh? They said, what's a Fandango? And I was like, that's the movie ticket website. They were like, but no, what is a Fandango? It wasn't a thing, right? Until it
Yeah.
was, right? So they were just like, you can make Blooksy into a thing. It doesn't have to be something that exists. And, you know, then what I tried to do, Charlie, was turn it into an acronym.
Hmm.
And the acronym, actually, I don't remember it right now, but it did work for a little bit. But now that I'm working with universities and I'm working with chefs and universities and poets and, you know, fiction authors, it doesn't work anymore. So
Okay.
Yeah, there's really no real story behind it.
Man. Well, I love it. I love it.
Thank
I'm gonna have to, if you don't mind, my wife has a everything cricket, so I'd like her to create some T-shirts for me, and I may put, Blooksy.com on my chest on a
you.
T-shirt.
Hey man, put it on there.
Yeah, and it's good for me because in good for you. It puts you out there, especially like when I'm on the radio and we restream the station, and on the podcast. And I need to, instead of advertising these billionaires,
Right,
I can
right.
advertise someone, someone good like you.
Thank
So,
you, man. I appreciate it, and that's not a bad idea. Now that you mentioned it, I may get me a couple of jerseys,
hmm
uh, and maybe I'll. What I want to do is I want to come up with something that I can give authors as they finish their manuscripts. Right. I just think
great
that
point.
would be awesome for every author that publishes. They get something, but I hadn't thought about what that was yet.
Yeah, we'll come to you. It's
Listen to me.
yeah, the thing with me is I gotta keep my heart out of the business.
Yes.
I order T-shirts and I give them away.
Hmm.
They were made to do well. They were made to give away, but they were also made to sell. And
Got it.
sometimes I just, my soft heart ends up, if I was rich, I'd be poor. I'd be broke. And so
Love it. I love it.
yeah, the I want to ask you this one question. I ask all my guests,
Sure.
and the question is who would you like to see on the Really Charlie podcast?
Um. So
And you can get back to me if you want, but
yeah. I have a few people. And I would actually, you know what? There's a brother named Elkanah Reed. He's
mhm.
here in Atlanta. He's doing amazing things. He has a tech company, a tech marketing company. There's a Rodalyn, another person I know. She's awesome. She's a physician's assistant. She's building a platform for physician's assistants.
Okay,
Um, it's a training, education, sort of a whole network, right? So nurses, physicians, assistants. Rodlin would be an amazing guest. Have another gentleman named Brandon. Brandon has an app. He's in a wheelchair. He had a bad accident, and he
hmm.
has an app. I think it's called I Access Life, and it lets people in wheelchairs. And this is something you never think about. But when people in wheelchairs leave the house, they have to plan out where they're going, because if they have to go to the bathroom, a lot of times the stores don't have ramps.
True.
They're not handicap accessible. So his app lets you, if you're in a wheelchair, you download the app. It'll tell you, you put in your destination, it'll show you all the bathrooms that are handicap accessible along the way. So I have an entire network of people that we could get onto the Really Charlie podcast.
All right, I'm gonna pick your brain right now. I'll be looking for a few guests in the last 2 weeks of August into September. So I'm
Okay.
definitely gonna. I'll send you a direct message and then we'll go from there. Email's the best way to reach you.
Email. So if anybody, first of all, you want to reach me, if you follow me on Instagram, I am at AJ Joyner. That's AJJOINER. On Facebook, I am Mr. A Joyner. That's MRAJOINER. You can find me there. My email direct is blooksy@blooksy.com. Just shoot me an email. I try to respond to everybody. I'm pretty busy now, so sometimes it'll take me sometimes a week or so to get back to you, just because I have a lot of amazing things going on right now, but I do get back with everyone. So anyone needs help with books, I'm your guy. Go to chaptercreator.com, sign up. I can help you there. I have, and if you need help with anything, editors, book cover designers, any of that stuff, I'm your guy for that too. So
Awesome.
yeah, man, I'm here, Charlie. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. I have a message from Michael. He says, if I could share my contact information with AJ, I cannot locate the call AJ referenced for the 8 o'clock meeting tonight. So
Yes, it's just go over to chaptercreator.com and sign up, and you'll get an email confirmation with the link.
Okay. All right. Um, I'll send in that. I'm pretty sure he heard it. But once we get off, I'll definitely make sure that I'll actually call him firsthand. I'll call him.
Yeah.
This is so I'm gonna get off the business side of it and go back to some pleasure here. So I definitely know that your Saints could beat the Atlanta Falcons.
And we'll do
Which
that. We'll do that on 9/11.
yeah. So which and I have my cousin is a diehard Falcons fan. So and the cousin I mentioned in the earlier part of the podcast, Greg, he loves the Saints. He loves to cook. He's a great musician.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get both of them on my podcast so I can have them both going at it,
You
and
get a little rivalry going on.
yeah, and especially being family, that would have been intense. I would have loved it. So, um, what's your prediction about your team this year? What do you think's going to happen?
So we can talk this all day. So we had a great draft. We went up and got Chris Olave, who is a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Olave is a monster. He is the number one receiver in the draft. So we got him. Jameis Winston had one terrible season. Beyond that one terrible season, Jameis Winston has been a great quarterback. He's thrown for 4,000 yards, 3 out of his 5 years, with the exception of last year when he went down and we was leading us. Our record was 5-2 last year when he went out, right? 14 touchdowns, 3 picks. That's pretty good for 7 games, right?
Exactly.
So I anticipate, he's back. He was coming off the injury, but we got some weapons around him. We went and got Jarvis Landry from Cleveland. Of course, Michael Thomas is coming back. Last year, all of our receivers were third string receivers, and we still missed the playoffs we were 9-8 last year. We lost 3 games by a field goal or less, and we didn't have a kicker. After the second game of the season, we lost our field goal kicker, and I think we missed more field goals than any other team last year. We lost Taysom Hill. We lost Jameis Winston. So we were on our 4th string quarterback last year, right? And we still went 9-8. Our defense has gotten better. We went and picked up arguably one of the best strong safeties in the league with the Honey Badger, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got Marcus May from the Jets, who is also a Pro Bowl safety, right?
Yeah.
We still have Will Smith and Demario Davis. So I think our defense will definitely be top 5 because it was top 5 last year and we got better. I think our offense will be we need to be maybe top 12 or 13, right? We have enough weapons. Alvin Kamara is still there, so we can expect 1,000 yards combined from him. So I think we'll definitely be in the playoffs. And here's what I say about the playoffs. Once you get to the playoffs, you got to win 2 games. Right? Unless you're wild card, then you got 3. But you got to win 2 games, and you'll find yourself in the Super Bowl. And strange things have happened, man, because every team is one major injury away from having a first-round draft pick, a high first-round draft pick, if they lose enough games because they lose their quarterback, which we did last year. So
true.
So I think we're going to be pretty good. And so what about you guys are looking good too, New England?
Well, they Mac Jones, I love.
He's a baller.
He's definitely made it easier for me because I was very bitter towards Tom Brady and Gronk, and I had a lot of choice words for them because of they left.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, well, he's always gave that hometown discount, and I'm saying, well, this is the latter part of his career in his years, and I think that his legacy should have been, New England from start to finish. But I can't mess with anybody's money. But I like Mac Jones, Devontae Parker. I'm very happy to see him. All the running backs for the Patriots, I think, are going to be tremendous, and James White is definitely not. I don't think he's going to be able to play until mid-season, so he might go on the pup and
Okay.
and we'll see him later on. And we'll go from there. I had a good team for 20 years, and they had one bad year 2 years ago. So I just think that, it's like my brother was a diehard Yankees fan. So growing up, he celebrated a championship almost every year, every school year.
Yeah.
He was celebrating a championship. So I knew how he felt,
Right.
and then, so, but anyways, I like I said, I love football. The Honey Badger is going to be tremendous.
Yeah.
Tremendous. As much as popular as he was in college, this is something he's going to see. He's going to see some admiration for himself that I don't think he ever experienced. He's on a perfect team for him.
And he's from New Orleans, right? And we got Jarvis Landry, who's from New Orleans, right?
Yes.
So we got a lot of hometown love. And one thing about Louisiana folks is we love Louisiana folks.
You know what? That's nice. That's real nice.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, I know you got some other things to do, so I want to make sure that you have time to do that. Please, let's do this again. And you have a fan in the Really Charlie podcast. We're definitely gonna push all we can for you, and you're gonna be definitely publishing one or two of my books very soon. So
absolutely. So I want to tell you, first of all, thank you for the support, and having me on your show, and congratulations on building this platform. And this has been a fun conversation. And I'm looking forward. For anyone who was on the call, just go ahead. We have our webinar coming up at 8:00. Really excited about getting you guys started with your books. And I would love to get your feedback from Blooksy. And for everybody here who's listening right now, if you want to sign up for Blooksy, I'll give you a discount code. It's half off forever, all one word. And you can pay half of the monthly fee. So you'll pay $19.50 a month. So at checkout, you just put in half off forever, and you can pay, with a discount. So thank you, Charlie. I appreciate this.
Very, very, very nice. I appreciate you. We let's definitely keep in touch, whether it's a short email, direct message, anything, let's keep in touch, man. Build off this friendship. All right. God bless, AJ.
All right.
Love you, brother. Bye-bye.
Love you too, bro. Bye.
All right. Great guest. I love this. I love everything that he's doing. It's so important for all of us to bring that creativity out there, And AJ's definitely the man. He's definitely worked for some great organizations, great companies, and so go to Blooksy.com and definitely sign up. All right. All right, everyone. I'll be on next Wednesday. Actually, Saturday. I got something coming up, surprise. So I'll see y'all on Saturday, and we can definitely touch base. Probably going to do the weird segment, weird stories again on Saturday, and I'll definitely be back on Wednesday, next Wednesday, with a new guest. Thank you for your support. It's been nice to hear all the different comments, or see all the different comments from Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I love you. You guys are great. Continue to support the Really Charlie podcast, and please subscribe and like the Really Charlie channel on YouTube. Take care, y'all. As I always do, I'm going to end with my intro song by Lionel Peter Walker. Take care.
It's the Really Charlie podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie podcast. Bump into your broadcast, grab a chair, fill your glass. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie podcast. Bump into your broadcast, grab a chair, fill your glass.